So excited to go live with Chris, Kendall, and we're going to be talking about the raw vegan bundle and especially focusing on the topic of overcoming cravings and emotional challenges on the raw vegan lifestyle.
Blessings, Reny. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing very well. Thank you very much. Just relaxing here, getting a bit of a smoothie in and wrapping up some work on the old computer.
Beautiful. Yeah,
You
I'm
just
really...
loving life in the Canary Islands or what?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, the fruit situation is so much easier than on our in our little village in Croatia. It's just especially during the springtime.
Yeah.
Now during the summer and autumn is much easier. And winter is okay too, but springtime there's just like
A little bit crazy, right?
yeah, it's just challenging to get fresh
Yeah.
fruit to get anything, even cucumbers.
Yeah.
Like I love cucumbers. It's difficult for me to live without cucumbers, and we just can't get them at that
I
time.
bet you it's a heck of a lot more economical too, hey? Like better prices out there.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
especially on the farmers market, and we strategically chose the place to live here and nearby this farmers market, so that
That's
helps.
so awesome. I'm excited to visit someday and to check it out. I've
Oh
always
yeah,
wanted to
we're
go there.
excited to have you.
Hey, Sachi.
Hi, Sachi. Yeah, so I'm really excited about the raw vegan bundle again. New bundle every time they're just getting better and better. It seems like there's
It's
so
it's
mind-blowing recipes and books.
it's a really darn good one. I totally agree. And I agree. Each time it gets better and each time it feels smoother and smoother. Uh, I was a little bit stretched thin on the way in, but now I'm feeling very relaxed and expansive and feeling really good and excited to showcase all the bundle and to connect with everyone. And your contribution to the bundle is really good. And I think it's really diverse because we got like amazing recipes, and then we have like really good information on the emotional, mental side, and then we have physical stuff like yoga and fun things for kids and young mothers. And so I think it's a really well kind of diverse bundle. And
Yeah.
like bananas, as simple as bananas, and then as simple as like Arnold's recipe book, which funnily enough is called this recipe book sucks because it's basically about very simple recipes. But then there's also like freaking raw pierogies and like lobster mushroom po' boys and like so many crazy things. It's an amazing collaboration and collection of recipes and information for sure.
Yes, mind-blowing. And I love your
Oh,
book. I think it's so important. People really need that book because, I mean, bananas just makes it so much simpler to go wrong.
yeah.
Luckily, I always loved bananas, so maybe that's why it was so easy for me to transition.
Yeah.
I think this is a huge secret.
They're they're one of my most commonly eaten lunch meals. Like I think if I really pinned it down over the last 20 years, actually more than 20 years, but around 20 years, I probably have had more meals of bananas than any other meal, and when I hear somebody say like they don't like bananas, I get a little bit of a tear, in my, it's like I get more of a tear from that than when I hear people say they don't like durian or they don't like tomatoes. But both of those, I still kind of think maybe you just haven't had good bananas, or maybe you haven't had ripe bananas, or maybe you had a poor durian, or maybe you didn't have amazing heirloom tomatoes. Because in my experience, when a piece of fruit is like top quality and really ripe and you know how to pick it, and you're actually hungry, you're not like locked up and backed up with a lot of other food or eating a really high fat diet, which will impact your appreciation and enjoyment of sweet food, then I find most people are going to be like, wow, this is actually quite amazing. Like I can't tell you how many times I've had people say like, oh, I don't like this, but when I introduce them to it or I make it in a certain way, they're like, wow, actually, I like this now. And it's like, it's just,
Yeah.
it's so
How
fun.
Yeah, how much there could be like emotional part of not liking something? What do you think?
I
Sometimes
think it could be pretty big.
connections.
especially in the moment of emotion, but I think a lot of people carry over those moments and the feelings and thoughts they have from those moments into other moments as
Yeah.
well. So, to me, it kind of goes back a little bit to the idea of true hunger, which I think is a really powerful concept that a lot of people don't acknowledge, but I think it has the power to transform one's relationship with self and food, which we can get more into as we go on in this talk. But if you're in an emotional place and you're like, I just want French fries, like
Yeah.
it's not really a true need, and you may then at that point, like if you're always kind of feeling emotional, or if you're prone to emotion, or you're prone to think of food as a way to soothe and kind of like numb out emotion, you're not going to be as attracted to simple fruit and veggie meals because they're so light on the nervous system that you can't really numb. So it's like, and I don't want those things. Like, I'm just hangry and like, oh, here's some apples. No, I don't want apples. I just want like a chimichanga. Give me like 18 chimichangas. And so I think there is a bit of a connection there, but I think that's a pretty big topic too, because it could go into much nuance.
Yes, yes, yes. And I'm curious, like, what was your emotional state and how you experienced emotionally that transition to the raw vegan lifestyle at first?
Wow, that's a good question. I would say I've always been an emotional eater. Um, but I also define emotional eating not only as trying to cover up bad feelings, but also eating for celebration and
Mhm.
eating for like feeling really high and great, because
Uh-huh.
when I felt really bad, I'd want to go to the heaviest, grossest, greasiest food and also alcohol and drugs and stuff.
Mhm.
Like last week. No, 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 that was like 20 plus years ago. But on the other hand too, when I had like an amazing day, I'd be like, let's get drunk and let's do this, and like so
Yeah.
it's like a kind of a both way thing. But
Mhm.
amazingly, because I had a pretty long transition into raw food, and my start was with yoga and spirituality, I think that gave me a little bit of a leg up in the sense that I was becoming more and more aware of my physical, mental, emotional body. And I became more and more aware of how different foods reacted and felt in my body during emotional times. And by
Mhm.
no means am I trying to say that I just like and overcame it, but I became more aware. And by the time it took me basically like a 4.5 year journey to go from like I said, partying and the greasiest, grossest stuff I could to high raw vegan, and then raw vegan fully raw vegan 6 months later. By that time, I feel like I'd been eating so much light food and just progressively becoming more connected to my purpose and feeling better and better and better, that especially in the early stages of raw food, I just felt so darn good that I don't feel like I was really eating for emotion that much at all. And I also really didn't really understand caloric density, and I hadn't really tried durian much. So I was mostly eating light stuff, and kind of like what I said before, it's pretty hard to emotionally eat that stuff.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I was just on that like raw honeymoon high and just feeling so damn good. But when I did hit some major, major emotional kind of traumas in my life, I did fall back and utilize those things to numb. And, I almost equate it like a crutch, like I did blame myself. I didn't like myself for doing those things at that time. But I think, in retrospect, looking at it, it's almost like if someone breaks their leg, you don't feel guilty about using a crutch.
Yeah.
And while someone could try and say, oh, you should have been stronger, you should have been this, hey, that was my story. And back then I felt like I needed that. I chose that. So ultimately, probably that served me in that sense as a
Yeah.
crutch.
Yeah.
But I think through those experiences, I came to grow more and more, at least in awareness and acceptance if I did utilize something that, wasn't for my simplest, lightest self, but instead was more of a bit of a crutch.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really glad you mentioned that it's actually was probably a good thing, a
Hmm.
helpful thing for you to use that, because so many people, they use foods to numb themselves, but then they beat themselves up so much
Yeah.
that they fall into this downward spiral where they start eating even more and more and more unhealthy foods, and they just feel like they almost don't deserve to be a raw vegan, and they can't anymore, or high raw, and just just by beating themselves up, they need they fall into the place where they need even more of this numbing foods.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a double whammy. It really is as if like, you trip and you hurt your knee and you go, oh well, I might as well hit myself in the hammer, hit myself in the face with the hammer now, It's
Yeah,
just like,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's super common, but with awareness of that, then it can be just seen as, okay, well, this is providing a contrast and extra insight into how I have dealt with things in the past. And hey, is that working anymore?
yeah,
Doesn't seem like it. Let's forgive ourselves.
exactly.
I think that's definitely a more rational, compassionate approach, but it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of patience, and I'm still growing with it for sure. I think most people on this plane probably will for the rest of their lives, um, but I think it's an amazing opportunity to grow and learn, and also it just makes this life in this road a little bit lighter and a little bit brighter.
Yes, beautiful. And you transitioned gradually to the raw vegan lifestyle, and you worked with many
Yeah.
people transitioning to raw vegan lifestyle. What would you say usually works better, the overnight quick transition, or like jump, or like a slow transition?
I think for most people, uh, a bit of a slower, longer term transition.
Hmm.
But that said, that slower, longer term transition for some people is diving right in. It's just they think they're diving right in, and then they have sharper yo-yos back and forth, right? So
Hmm.
I think it's smoother if you go in with that mindset of, hey, I'm going in this direction. I'm going to enjoy this. Maybe I go like really do dive in, but with the mindset too that this doesn't have to be forever, and there isn't like I'm a bad person if I can't stick to it. But
Yeah,
it in general, I think most people have an easier time mentally and emotionally, and at times physically too, if they are consistently going in a direction rather than this direction, that direction, this direction, that direction, right?
hmm, yes,
And
yes, yeah,
you see that you say the same thing?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
yeah. It's a pretty rare individual, but I mean, if somebody really is that, like, I just dive headfirst in, super A-type personality, like when they get something, they're just, you know,
Yeah,
for some people it works.
yes,
But even if you count yourself as one of those people, I would definitely implore everyone to be incredibly patient and loving and compassionate towards themselves, no matter what happens, and just, have that kind of guidepost as like a direction and a pointer, no matter what.
yeah, yeah. Yes, for me definitely it was super fast, like a transition to raw food. At the same time, I was for 3 years I was like trying a little bit of cooked food here and there, and I was just realizing that I don't feel that good on that, and
Yeah.
then coming back. And at the same time, the emotional journey was much longer. Emotional eating, like you said, I was also a big emotional eater. I feel less of it now,
Mhm.
but yeah, I can never say that it's 100% gone.
No, we're
Um,
emotional beings, right? It's like just
exactly.
trying to separate ourselves from something that's inseparable. It's just, I think, to me, I think
Mhm.
the big thing is being trapped in it and judging ourselves in it, as opposed to being a witness of it and accepting it and letting it flow with and through you. It's
It's
like
beautiful.
we're holding it in and trapping it and feeling guilty about it and like building it to be bigger than it is, or we're like, oh, that's what it is. Okay, like what can I do? Like, let's breathe through this, let's move through this, and
Yeah.
that makes such a difference.
Yeah, so an emotional transition for me, it was like probably over 10 years, over a decade. While already being raw vegan, I was still eating a lot emotionally.
Mhm.
And a lot of that was like higher density, like higher fat raw foods,
Hmm.
and things like dates,
Oh,
concentrated calories. So
oh
that,
gosh, date smoothie. Oh no, oh no.
well, actually, date smoothie is great because you
Yeah,
just
they're good.
put some dates and then a bunch of greens, My little
You can
Lily
tell.
loves those. Yeah, I'm so happy that she's pounding down the greens like a pro already.
That's
And
awesome.
it's just, I'm putting a bunch of dates in there, soft dates, and blending, and then it's sweet, but it's also full of minerals. It's just so good.
It's one of my
Yeah.
favorites, and it can be such an amazing deal. Like right now, I got such a good deal. Like this meal is probably about $1.50, maybe $1.75. And it's super filling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the availability, it's so much easier to get, and you don't have to worry about ripening them,
No,
and it's easy to store. So yeah,
I almost have a month's worth of dates in my fridge right now, and they'll be good for 2 or 3 months if I need. But it's a good
nice,
backup.
beautiful.
Hmm.
Right.
I apologize. I kind of threw you off track, so just all of a sudden throwing dates up in here.
No, that's fine. That's part of it. It's actually very important. Also, uh, that I noticed yet that yeah, people get all emotional about trying to numb themselves, and then they try to go raw,
Mm.
and they eat so little
Yeah.
calories
Mhm.
that they get super emotional and say, "Oh, I can't continue because I get so too emotional." The truth is, it's just the body sending a signal like, "Hey, I'm hungry. I don't
Yeah.
have enough nutrients," and it gets so mixed up, the emotions and the true hunger. And yeah,
Absolutely. And it's compounded too by the point like if somebody's like super into detox or thinks that, like overeating is dangerous, I swear I'm gonna make a whole video, but I think one of the worst kind of things going around the raw food movement right now is like that you shouldn't eat a lot and that you should, eat less, and that, like the more you eat raw, the less and less and less you eat. And, while there can be a smidgen of truth to that, if, your digestive efficiency really increases, or if you become less stressed out and more calm and centered, or you become less active because you get older, as an older individual, sure, you eat a couple hundred calories, but you're not going to cut your caloric needs in half. That's kind of going against the law of thermodynamics. But it's a common thread right now, and if you're under eating for a significant amount of time, especially if you're fairly new to the lifestyle, you're going to be, blowing through your adipose tissue, and you're going to be releasing toxemia that was stored in the fat tissues, because that's where we store a lot of stuff that our body can't handle in the present moment. And that's going to make you feel manic, and that's going to bring up old thoughts and nostalgic meals that were stored and released. And you're going to be craving things you hadn't thought about for years and years and years. Like
yeah.
I had really potent experiences with that during water fasts, where I was literally peeling back the layers of the onion, as they say, and
Mhm.
old foods, old thoughts, old memories came up, and they were completely connected to the same body weight I was when I was storing that and not dealing with it. It was clear as day.
Yeah.
And, I think that kind of also kind of goes back a little bit to what you're saying about diving straight in, opposed
Mhm.
to a gradual transition. A gradual transition of abundance and moving towards a direction brings a streamlined detoxification period. Whereas going, I got to be 100% fruitarian, and I never can eat greens because it slows detox. And, I must water fast every single day and XYZ, can really lead people to that sharp yo-yos, not only because of potentially the lack of calorie, but also because of how intensively they're challenging their organs of elimination and their physical, mental, emotional bodies by bringing all of that up. Like, if you don't have really good coping mechanisms, if you don't have your book and some more of the resources in the bundle, even if you do, you're gonna have a hard time if you go that
Yeah.
route where you're just like breakneck speed. Faster isn't always better. Like we're shown this again and again and again, but for some reason people still think like faster is better, and I got to get there as fast as I can. But I tell you, you're setting yourself up for a heck of a lot more challenge, and more challenge sometimes can break you.
Yes, yes, so powerful. And what are your favorite tools that you would recommend to people to deal with the emotions, even if they come up gradually? Like what would you recommend to use to deal with those?
I think, to me, the absolute most powerful tool is just the breath. Everyone has it at every single moment, and it has the absolute surefire, scientifically proven ability to completely change your mindset and your nervous system. So like when you're experiencing heightened emotion, just slow down to breathe and to just feel. Just simply feel and breathe. And not judge it, not think that it has to be fixed. Just genuinely feel it and just breathe into it, and it's through that we can relax. Our nervous system calms down, we get out of that sympathetic and more into like a kind of digest and relax kind of mood. And then through that letting go and relaxing, oftentimes that pent up energy can just dissipate.
Yes,
And
yes,
it's often like 15 minutes. Like I find, like, I mean, some people say even a minute or two of breathing,
yeah,
but I find if we can really just take that moment when we're in distress, or heightened stress, whichever you want to say,
yeah,
15 minutes of just like some breathing or any kind of distraction just to kind of get into the present moment more,
yeah.
is invaluable and can completely shift everything.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, it's such a powerful tool. It's really, I would say it's actually a chance to breathe, like you said, breathe through this emotion and
Mhm.
release it,
Yeah.
because it's really like a tangled up like energy, because we don't want to feel it. It's there, it's sitting there anyway in our body. It's not like it's all of a sudden appearing from nowhere. It was there, and then we bump into it. Um, but usually we suppress
Yeah.
it. Usually people start suppressing it with numbing foods, and we don't want to feel it. We don't want to feel it.
Mhm.
But like you said, if we can breathe through it for 15 minutes and give it all our attention and loving attention,
Yeah.
and allow it to be there, just breathe through it, it starts untangling and moving. This energy just wants to move. It just wants to break free and flow.
100%.
You can just allow it to do it.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Such a
That
powerful tool.
that common phrase, right? What we resist persists. And I mean, we're learning this again and again. And we're slow learning creatures. I'll admit, I relearn the same things dozens and dozens and dozens of times. And I mean, I was just relearning this all the last week. I was resisting my internet not working and trying to figure out when I could have just done something else and breathed into it. And the day before the bundle happened, I finally released and surrendered and breathed into what I could do instead of resisting what was happening. And it's just amazing how these lessons can really apply to many aspects of life, and how easily we can forget them, and how important it is to come together. And that's one of the big things I love about the bundle and coming together with everyone, so that we can all remember and remind each other and spread this kind of information out there. Because yeah, no matter where we're at, we can easily forget these things and fall into little doom spirals.
Yes, yes. Yeah. It's really powerful to despite um, being having such big experience with spiritual growth and with raw food, you're still staying humble and still remembering to use these tools and uh, to bring yourself back to present moment.
And still forgetting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's always the process. Yeah, it's
It
always
is, yeah.
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 Someone says Queen the Yuan said tapping, breath, gratitude, positive thinking, and eating clean and raw.
Yeah,
Prayer helps too. Yes, those beautiful, powerful things. Yeah, thank you.
absolutely. Something else that helps too is because, like, while I could definitely say, like, if you're experiencing heightened emotion and you're an emotional eater, the best thing to do is to relax and breathe, or to take a walk. That's not going to fit everyone at every single moment. And some other times it's like, instead of going to the burger joint and getting burgers and fries, you utilize an amazing raw food recipe that's a heck of a lot lighter, a lot more nutritious, and still super delicious. So it becomes a replacement, so that maybe you're still utilizing some of that behavior, but you're improving upon it and becoming much more aware around it.
Mm.
And that's one of the reasons also I just love the bundle, because
Yeah.
like we said, from simple raw recipes that can feel great at any time, to more fancy recipes that can also feel great at any time, but also bring that nostalgia and can curb those cravings. Because I tell you, sometimes, like, even if you try and get through it in every single way, there might be some kind of weird inkling in the back of your mind that's just like, I want this, and it's like,
Yeah.
I can't have it, I shouldn't have it, and it's like, well, you can, but you might feel like crap. But if you instead try this version of it, that little thing might completely go away and just dissipate, and you'll feel way better about it. So like,
Yeah.
there's so many
It's
recipes in
so
this bundle
healthy.
that is insane.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was blown away. I was looking at this the new guy, some black,
Yeah,
someone.
yeah, yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For the Love of Tacos, his
Yes.
book. And at first I thought, oh no, it's probably too heavy. And then I just decided to look at the recipes because I was looking at what should I make, and I was blown away. The recipes are
Yeah.
the so healthy components,
Yeah.
the ingredients, and so low in fat. It's like it looks like the fanciest, like a taco, like fillings and things,
So,
and
so legit looking, right? Like really, really like authentic looking, and like
tasty,
some of the
very
tortillas
tasty.
and
I
stuff
already tried.
looks,
Mhm.
yeah. I want to
So
try a bunch of those too.
yeah, yeah, so good, so good, so
I kind of want a
exciting.
personal chef. I want a personal chef to go through the books and make all the recipes for me. Hey, wait, I'm a chef. Darn it.
Exactly, I was just gonna say. Yeah, would be cool to get together someday, maybe here,
That'd
and
be
make
awesome.
some recipes together. We'll be each
Absolutely.
other's
Yeah.
personal chefs.
Yeah. Absolutely. All three of us get together and make
Yeah,
make a couple things, have giant feasts. I look forward to it. That'll be really good.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Actually, four really can help too.
Yes, that's true. Yes, that's true. Yes. Yeah, she's getting big already, hey?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Is she
yeah.
helpful in the kitchen?
A little bit. We actually we had that special chair that she gets up to the kitchen countertop level
Hmm.
in Croatia, but here we don't have it. But sometimes I just put everything down on the like low coffee table
Hmm.
where we're kind of chopping together, and then she's playing with the food too, and she loves to help.
I'm
And she
curious.
was requesting a knife, like give me the baby knife, the wooden knife.
Yeah. So she's already practicing in the kitchen.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm curious from your observation, what would you say her experience with emotional eating is? Is it something that she is seen in her life, or has like when she's emotional, does she look for food, or because she has you two as role models, is it not really a reality in there, or?
Well, kind of. It's rarely that it happens. She emotionally nurses.
Mhm.
I see
Yeah.
that she gets emotional and she wants mama. She wants the
Yeah.
milk. Yes, that's I see that is a bit of a coping mechanism there.
That's beautiful though, because I think, and that's something that I've mentioned, but that exemplifies it, that I believe in part we are emotional eaters because of that connection and because of the reality that mother's milk has opiate-like substances that calm our nervous system and relax us, and because of that, it's deeply, deeply ingrained in us that we consider food with comfort, right? So it only stands to reason that we are driven to comfort and food for comfort, and also that it gives us extra pause to give ourselves more consideration, compassion, patience, and acceptance if we do choose that, right? Because it is super deeply ingrained. It's just let's make the absolute best choices we can and become as aware of it as we can as well.
Yes, yes. And with food overall, she eats whenever she wants, except like after we brush her teeth, I'm trying to kind of, take her mind off of it.
Yeah.
Just not directly. I would never say directly, no, you can't have, but to say, oh, let's do this or that, and then I kind of, invite her to drink some milk, to kind of not to eat after brushing, of course, late at night, like in the evening
Mm.
before bedtime. But during the day, she eats whatever she wants.
Mm.
And sometimes I'm trying to avoid that, but sometimes she's kind of breaking the rules with, not the rules, but the principles that I try to kind of
Mm.
have, has to avoid eating like juicy fruit after, like
Yeah.
heavier foods, like
Yeah.
after fatty, like crackers or something. Um, but I'm just trying to not to advertise these foods during like
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah.
But if she decides, if she says no, I want orange, I'm like okay,
Go for it.
just have it. So add a little bit of gas.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Exactly. Bless kids' robust digestive system, that it
Yes.
hasn't been beaten up as much. So you can, I think that's the tough thing sometimes. I mean, I know it was for me, and part of the reason why I was so adamant against healthy eating and stuff when I was younger is you can get away with so much, or at least you don't really notice the ramifications of your choices until it gets to a point where you really do start to notice it, and it takes quite a while to reverse it, right? But if you can be eating whatever, and I mean, I'm not, obviously it's a little different what Lily's doing compared to what most people are doing, but like most people doing everything and anything, like they don't feel the ramifications. They always feel pretty good as a young person, and then by the time it's getting to that point where you're really noticing it, it becomes so habitual and so much of a crutch that it's really hard to get out of. So she's dang lucky if her bending the rules or the guidelines is the juicy stuff occasionally after the heavy stuff, right? What a blessed girl. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's okay. And overall, I'm blown away how healthy are her like food preference or like what she's craving. She
Mm.
sees like sprouts and she's like, I want, and starts eating sprouts just like by
Oh,
a handful. So
that's amazing.
and green smoothies, like green sauces, like cucumber noodles. She loves, with salad chopped in there. Also, I make
Yeah.
salads kind of like a noodles too. She loves this texture of noodles,
Yeah. Noodles is
and
so fun.
yeah, and the lettuce just like sliced like this. I think I learned from you to slice them like this, so they're
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
like
like
noodles.
noodles.
Yeah.
And then we make a sauce from veggies, and she just absolutely loves it. And I think she's already getting used to that. The sweeter fruit is in the morning and lunchtime, and then dinner is naturally some salad with some fats, some healthy fats.
Nice. That's awesome. Wow,
Yeah.
she's got a leg up on all of us. Hey, can you imagine starting your life
Oh,
like that? It's so wild.
I'm so happy for her.
Yeah, no doubt. That's such a beautiful thing. I mean, I feel pretty blessed with my parents and the food and everything that they provided, but at the same time, I tried to eat as unhealthy as I could anywhere outside of that, and I took advantage of any less healthy things that were around the house, and took my lion's share as the Leo and the active kid of the household. But wow, yeah, that's amazing. The next gen.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. Yeah, and I love that we talked about emotional eating now, and that the cravings, the recommendations for cravings would be very, very similar, I would say. Like it's also interconnected. It's kind of very close. These two things, the unhealthy cravings and the emotional eating,
Yeah.
though not quite the same, but they're very kind of closely connected, I would say.
Yeah, there's definitely some connections there, but I guess as with anything, right, there's that nuance and the different ways of doing it. Like I know throughout your book, you give so many different methods and so many different insights that can really meet anyone. Because while I talked about breath work, for some people that might just really not resonate whatsoever, or they might have some kind of internal resistance, and it might instead be calling a friend or going for a walk or taking a shower or having a big glass of water.
Yeah.
And I think, just like in your book, having as many options as you can, and the more insight into each of those, the more it's going to fit the greater number of people. And then also even each individual in different moments, because, life is so diverse, and what may work in one moment may not work the best in another moment. And I think it's through trying all of those different ways that we can, kind of fine tune and find what generally works the best for us.
Yes, yes. And also sometimes, even like you said, the breath work that, maybe some people like will feel resistance to it, but also through emotional work, you can overcome this resistance.
True.
It's just a kind of unnecessary resistance really.
Yeah.
Breath is our like
It
nature. So
is, yeah,
uh,
it's true. It is kind of a base layer. Hey, it is one of those things. Like I remember right around the time that I was getting into raw food. I think it was I think it was my yeah it was my during my first year raw. My roommate, both my roommates actually, they were yogis and yoga instructors, and the one Wei, his name is Wayland, but we called him Wei, the Wei. He was as into breath work as I am into raw food. Like that was his like complete thing. So like we had amazing discussions and talks about that, and you know, the depth of that practice, you know, it goes obviously much more than just breathing, but that is where it starts, and that could be where it ends as well, right? Just conscious breath and slowing down and going deep into our diaphragm or even belly breaths and stuff like that. But it is just so amazing how profound something so simple can be and how scientifically proven it is, you know, and um, but, you know, I think to me, one of the bigger, not one of the bigger, but one of the other just big key concepts we've already kind of talked about, though, is just that patience and compassion, you know, and just growing in awareness that it is a journey and it takes time, and everything is okay. And, you know, if I may, I think one of the, can I share one of the biggest things that really completely changed my relationship with cravings?
absolutely.
Yeah. So for me, one of the biggest things was just complete acceptance. You know, it was just like, you know, because I've met definitely many people with raw food that actually say like, I can't have that or I shouldn't have that. And I mean, we encounter that from other people a lot too. Like, oh, you want some? Oh, no, you can't have that. You know, it's like when I really came to a place that, you know what, I can have anything I want. It's not bad. It doesn't make me bad. It doesn't make me a worse person. Um, you know, and if I genuinely wanted it, I had it, and I tried to make it a meditation, like actually be completely present with it, with zero judgment, with zero feelings of, you know, lack or of being worse off for it. And for me, that was really like the turning point, because
Mhm.
I came now. I mean, obviously, you can look back in retrospect, and you have much more insight than when you were in the moment. You know, I was just going through it.
Mhm.
But when I had the resistance towards it, I had the judgment towards it. It kept on pulling me more and more to it. But I had more and more resistance. And I'm like, no, no, no. Like I can't. That's bad. I'll be a failure. I won't be able to accept myself. I won't reach my goals. Like I
Mhm.
created my whole identity around perfect, like a static view of perfect.
Yeah.
And when I let go of that and said, you know what, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna have what I am craving. I'm gonna be completely aware and make it a meditation. I found it wasn't really that good. And now looking back, it's like when you're stuck in that emotion and you're judging and you're not even like you want it so bad, but then when you
Yeah.
have it, you're not even present, you're not even aware, you're just like just
Yeah.
scarfing it back and tight and like this. It seems good, you know, it seems much more good. But
Yeah.
when you're just relaxed and aware and in acceptance, the reality is much more crisp. You know, it's
Yeah.
like you're actually there. And like I said, when I chose it that way and I was in complete acceptance and slowed down and was present, it wasn't good. I didn't really like it. Like it was
Mhm.
okay, but it wasn't anywhere near as good as I made it up in my mind.
Yeah.
And I was able to let go of it, and like its power completely dissolved. And then after that, it was just like, yeah, again, I can have anything I want. It's just really, what do I want to experience, you know? And if I want to experience that, then okay, let's try and again make it a meditation and see if it loses its flair. And there's in the 20 years I've been doing this, you know, because that first time that I really did that was after about 5 years raw, and I had just started the Raw Advantage, and I created a blog post all about that experience. But you know, ever since then, if I like, I'm still doing what I'm doing because anytime I had that experience, it was never really what my mind had thought it would be. And it led me back to just wanting simpler, healthier foods that made me feel balanced and consistent in the lightness of my being, you know? So
Beautiful. Yeah, that's so beautiful. Like you said earlier, what we resist persists.
yeah,
And if we let it go and let it be there, it might just dissolve. Not might, it's for sure will dissolve if you fully let it flow. It will dissolve.
Absolutely.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Absolutely.
And I had also interesting experience with cravings when I was craving bread like so much. I was so
Hmm.
addicted, and I would walk every week past huge bakery,
Hmm.
um, and to like Tai Chi class, and um, I really like wanted to break free, and I researched a lot. I researched nutrition, how to approach it from this side, how to get stronger
Hmm.
nutrition, to nourishing myself, and also sleeping better, and exercising, and like emotionally, to get stronger, or freer rather.
Hmm.
Um, and working on all these things, and like still it was so hard
Hmm.
to smell that smell every week, a few times a
Yeah.
week. And then one day I was like walking by, and somehow I think it was like a compound effect of all these things that I learned all of a sudden like rushed through my head,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden it clicked for me. I realized that instead of like pushing it away, fighting it, and feeling like I'm depriving myself, that I
Mm.
can't have it, I realized that I can feel like a butterfly,
Hmm.
free from it, like
Yeah.
just
Just
flying
float
above
by.
it, flying above all that. And this was like so powerful, from going like this to,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it stayed with me ever after. And like every time I would feel the smell some smells, or see some food, I would remember this, and I would generate this feeling inside. I'm like, yeah, I'm free, I'm above it.
Hmm.
And from then on, it was so much easier to withstand any cravings.
That's
It's
beautiful.
just like a different perspective, just like a shift of perspective happened.
Can make all the difference. And that actually it makes that's a theme in your book, so that connects some dots for me even more. That's really cool. And the way I've looked at some things too, like there are smells that I smell that smell good, that I enjoy.
Mhm.
But now, when those are like cooked food kind of smells, or like even some animal product smells, I know some people, they're completely disgusted. But I won't lie, I've smelt barbecue that I thought smelled good. Like,
With all the
but I almost
spices
I
in it.
almost sorry.
With all the spices
Yeah,
in there.
exactly. Spices and barbecue sauce and stuff like that. But I almost now like perceive it as like an air freshener, like those little tree air fresheners. So I've smelled also some like fruity ones, or some like vanilla ones that smell really good, but like it's not food anymore to me, like it just I don't really look at it in the same light. And but yeah, I mean, if you're really darn hungry and you don't have those tools at your disposal, those smells can really shake you. But
Yeah,
it's amazing how like some knowledge and that perspective shift can just make all the difference, and all of a sudden just flip the game. And how freeing is it when you're in those situations and you're not a slave to your senses. Instead, you're just aware of them
yeah,
and have more clear direction. That's a beautiful thing.
beautiful. And I feel that the bigger secret is, yes, there was like a big flip. I mean, quick like flip and of perspective and shift, and at the same time, it's based on this um, lifestyle, on the whole lifestyle, like Jesse says.
Yeah.
The sleep, the nutrition, you nourish yourself, you move your body, you get everything, you give your body everything that it needs, and your soul also, of course. And then you're so strong.
Yeah.
And then from this point, you can shift your perspective and break free.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you're pulled thin, or you're not looking towards all the other aspects of health, then it just makes more strain on that one that you're leaning everything into, right? If
Yeah,
we just put everything, it's just raw diet, and I got to do raw diet perfect, but yeah, we're stressed out and we're not exercising and we're not sleeping. Well, guess what? Your raw diet probably is going to suffer too. You know, it's
Yeah, because the whole chemistry in your body is shifted towards stress, and then stress creates this like it makes your body produce more ghrelin, the
yeah,
hunger hormone, and you just and you kind of rely you feel like you need to rely on some stimulants or stimulating foods.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's a vicious cycle, right? It's
yeah,
amazing how many of those things, just like we were talking about before, like making a choice that doesn't really serve us and then beating ourselves up about it. But just so many of these things really do compound, right? And it's just stepping back, looking at the bigger picture, and having patience and self-love that it pays off in spades.
yeah. Well, what are some other ways you help people to overcome their emotions? Can you think of something?
You know, actually, I think just even in the wording of what you said, it's I think, and we did kind of touch on this, but not necessarily overcoming, but just coming into acceptance of, you know, just really,
Yeah,
really accepting that we're emotional beings and that we're never going to completely overcome our emotions. We're not going to sidestep. We're not going to eliminate them.
yeah,
They're a part of who we are. It's just reframing the relationship, you know, and being okay with things coming up. It's just, again, I look at stress as a signpost, you know, but a lot of people instead they grab that signpost, they throw it in their backpack, and they carry it around with them, and they get like every single stressor is a new rock. And I mean, that was me just a couple weeks ago. Again, I had to remember it's like every stress is a new rock I put in my backpack until I'm
hmm
falling over.
hmm
But instead, you know, it's like each stress is just a signpost. Okay, well, what am I doing that's creating this? And is there something I can do that will help make it easier? You know, is there someone I can lean on? Is there some support I can get? Is there something I can shift in the way I'm doing it or the way I'm looking at it, right? And I think that's kind of a big part, you know, is just reframing it, you know?
Powerful, powerful. I love how you said that. How I'm creating it. This
Yeah,
is such a huge, huge. Like, oh, I learned it so many years ago, and still I'm forgetting all the
yeah.
time. And this recently, I read this new book, Your New Beginning, by Brian Ridgway,
Hmm.
or Ridgway. Um, it was such a powerful reminder that we are create. Well, you can. It depends on your perspective of the world, but I like this idea. I think it's very powerful that we are creating our reality, you know, and
Absolutely.
to take responsibility for everything. Like even if you have maybe like your partner is kind of not in such a good
Mhm.
mood, or like giving you a hard time or something, it's like intuitively you want to just blame him, you know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but if I take responsibility, like, oh, I'm creating it for myself, or
Yeah.
maybe my little one is acting up, you know, and I'm just going crazy and not letting me work.
Hmm.
I remind myself, oh yeah, I'm creating it. Okay, what is here? How is it for me? That's what
Hmm.
how he puts it. How is it for me? What it gives me some opportunity here to shift
Yeah.
something. Yeah, maybe I can do something about it. And my first thing, like right away, what I'm doing, if especially if it's an interaction with other people, is um, sending Ho'oponopono
Yeah.
prayer. Just
Yeah.
like, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you.
Yeah.
And really feeling it in my heart that I'm taking responsibility for all that. And I'm sorry that my energy somehow was not so like in alignment. And that's why their energy also got out of alignment. You know, just
Fair.
take that responsibility without beating myself up, without saying like, oh, I'm bad for doing that. No, it's just the way I was programmed.
Yeah.
You know, I was programmed to blame others, to be like negative since childhood, and I'm working on that consistently, constantly working on it for decades and decades, and it's still like work in progress.
Probably always will be, right? But
Yeah,
it's just that awareness game.
yeah,
You know, I think it's so true that you know, we're either conscious creators or unconsciously creating hell, you know, and it's like it's a continual growth, and I think taking responsibility for everything in your life, and I mean with Ho'oponopono, the world, it's a very challenging but very, very potent thing that we can do for ourselves and for everyone around us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what helps me a lot is that it works. It
Yeah.
really works. Like every time they will calm down.
Yeah.
And, in my household,
It's amazing, right? What
it's just
our mood can do, like the energy we're giving off, right? And there can be such subtle vibration that you don't really recognize or would accept has a big influence. But I think, like anything, those subtle things add up over time, and bada bing, bada boom. What's in front of you?
magic.
Yeah. I don't know what I did to wreck my internet. I'll be honest with that, but maybe one day I'll become aware enough.
Yeah. Well, it's like some things it's hard to tell.
Yeah, it can be. But either way, no
Maybe
matter
not.
what,
Maybe.
accepting where we are, right?
Just a
Accepting
sec.
where we are.
Maybe like one of the things when something like that happens, what I realized lately is that it's like our higher self is giving us opportunity to accept this and
Yeah.
come down into it.
Yeah.
To it's just an opportunity. It's not like what did I do to cause it, but it's like I get this opportunity from a higher self or universe, or how you want to call
No,
it.
that's really good reminder. Absolutely. Yeah, it's like again that opportunity to relearn and re-remember these things we're talking about this entire time, and I mean it does make them even more poignant and more present, when they happen again. I mean, I've often thought and also conversed with friends about how, we are in the land of the two poles and we're here to experience the contrasts of life. And, while I'll be the first one to admit sometimes I'm like, I'm sick of contrast. I just want it to be good, like the contrast is what brings the experience and brings the growth and brings the extra sweetness of those good times, and we all need reminders. I needed extra reminders last week and didn't even want to hear the reminders at some times. But as you get through it, it becomes more and more clear and more a blessing.
Yes. Yeah, technical challenges is like wow.
Yeah. They're the hardest ones for me, but
Me too.
yeah, like
I would say for years I've been overeating emotionally because of all the technical challenges.
yeah. It's like we're in 2024, can't the computer just work?
Yes.
I'd give my pinky for perfect internet all the time. No, I'm just joking. So I'm sorry. I like my pinky. I would never give it up for Wi-Fi. I still don't have Wi-Fi.
Really?
Yeah, it's been a week and a half.
Wow, still you don't know. Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But once I have a bit of a mellow day for the bundle, then I'm going to talk more with support. I found a little bit of a workaround through, actually, I shouldn't even say because of that, but a little bit of a workaround that isn't super ideal, but it's working so that I can access my sites, most of my sites.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
So
technical
there
stuff.
you go. You use this opportunity to calm down and figure something out. That's powerful.
Yeah. Focus on what we can do rather than focus on the things that aren't working and beat our head against it.
Yeah. Beautiful, powerful stuff. Yeah, thank you so much for coming, everyone.
Thanks.
So blessed to have you here. Thank you so much,
Thank
Chris. That was such a
you.
beautiful, deep conversation.
It always
Thank you.
is. I'm excited for more in 3D and give my love to Jesse and
Yes.
Lily as well. And
Thank
much love to
you.
you too. Thank you so much.
You too. Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye.
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 Whee! Don't hesitate, get the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle now while it's still available.